We all know that Mr. Beast loves doing different challenges on YouTube, but in 2025 he decided to do something completely unique. Instead of heading to a jungle or an island, Mr. Beast thought, this time he and his friends would face something truly terrifying. They chose to explore one of the most haunted places in the world, the Ohio State Penitentiary, an abandoned prison that has been closed for years and is notorious for its paranormal activity. His team, including Tariq, Chad, Connor, Chris, Josh, and Jake, were all ready for the challenge. But deep down, even they were a little scared. They packed up their ghost hunting equipment, EMF meters, infrared meters, night vision cameras, tons of batteries, flashlights, and walkie-talkies, and headed to the prison, their hearts pounding with both excitement and fear. As soon as they entered, the atmosphere was impossible to ignore. The prison spanned over 1 million square feet with 6 floors and over 100 cells. It was eerie, terrifying. The guard greeted them with chilling stories. In 1930, a devastating fire had killed 300 inmates, and many others had died in brutal fights or tragically took their own lives. It said the spirits of those prisoners still haunt the halls. The guard himself had often felt unseen forces and had even warned the group not to wander off alone or joke around. He told them there was a hospital and a church inside, places they should avoid at all costs. A little shaken but determined to push forward, Mr. Beast and his team geared up and headed into the prison, cameras rolling. They were there to find out if the ghost stories were true. After exploring for a while, they set up their base camp in the main hall, spacious, close to the entrance, and perfect for keeping an eye on each other. Mr. Beast suggested they split up and explore different areas. Chad, Mr. Beast, and Josh would check out the hospital, while the rest of the team would venture into the solitary confinement area, the place where prisoners were isolated in complete darkness. As they entered the hospital, something strange happened. As they moved around with their EMF meters, the light on Chad's device flickered. Blink, blink. At first, it seemed normal, but then Mr. Beast heard something else, a loud, eerie, siren-like sound. No one else could hear it. When he pointed the EMF meter toward the noise, the light began blinking faster, as though responding to the sound. The closer they got to a room, the stronger the sound became. This was bizarre. They realized they were walking in circles, even though they had been taking different paths. Was something leading them in circles? Meanwhile, Tariq, Chris, Jake, and Connor were deep in the solitary confinement area, armed with night vision and infrared cameras. Out of nowhere, Chris felt lightheaded. His heart raced. Then Jake screamed, his voice filled with terror. He saw something, a strange, dark shadow moving toward him. It came closer and closer, but then, just as suddenly, it disappeared into thin air. Back at base camp, Mr. Beast and the others heard Jake's scream over the walkie-talkie. At first, they thought it might be a prank, but then they heard it. A strange voice crackled through the walkie-talkie. "It's raining outside." That voice was off. It wasn't a normal voice. It was unsettling, almost unnatural. The team froze, trying to understand what was happening. Before they could react, the walkie-talkie fell silent. Confused and shaken, they pressed on and made their way to the old church within the prison. This church had once been the execution hall, a place where condemned prisoners were hanged. They say the spirits of those who were executed still haunt this area. Mr. Beast, with his usual sense of humor, pretended to be a priest, joking around as they explored. But then, without warning, the walkie-talkie buzzed again. Chris's voice crackled through. "Where are you?" Mr. Beast responded, only to hear a strange disturbance on the walkie-talkie. Then another voice, a woman's voice, came through, cold and eerie. "It's raining outside." That was it. The tension in the air grew thick. The team was no longer laughing. Their nerves were on edge and they couldn't deny it any longer. Something was wrong. Confused, frightened, the group decided to head back to base camp. As they walked outside, they were greeted by pouring rain and the deafening sound of thunder. Chad and Josh were terrified, but Mr. Beast, he was fascinated. Despite the fear, the adrenaline rush was overwhelming. What was going through his mind? What was it that made him curious rather than scared? What did his friends experience? And what about the dark shadow they had seen? Was it a prank, or was something truly supernatural at play? To find out what happens next, what Mr. Beast and his team face in the next part of their terrifying adventure, stay tuned and don't miss out. The story continues right here on this channel.